This summer, the world's largest arena for sports and collectibles is back in New York City. Catch the return of Fanatics Fest from June 20th to 22nd, where you could share the floor with the biggest names in sports. That means appearances by over 500 iconic athletes and celebrities from your favorite teams, including current and former New York Knicks legends, plus live panels and podcasts, exclusive merch collabs, and trading card arena with 200 of the biggest dealers in the biz, and way, way more. Get your tickets today at fanaticsfest.com and get 20% off your ticket price before May 26th with promo code Knicks Film School 20. Again, get tickets at fanaticsfest.com and use promo code Knicks Film School 20 for a 20% discount. When the world's greatest athletes gather in New York City, don't miss it. Jeff.
I'm calling the Kobe ISO, brother.
Jeff.
I'm on mute, please.
Jeff, I just got one thing to say.
3 words.
Yeah. You should have gone for the head. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by Fanatics Sportsbook, where we have, say it with me now, a motherfucking basketball series. How
John, that was beautiful.
Baby?
John, that was beautiful.
How you doing?
That was great. Jeff's still here. I think he's going to get like a Thanos glove or something.
I didn't need the people seeing my nether regions. You feel
Oh no. Okay. Oh, he's getting it. There you go. We have a Thanos Infinity Gauntlet on screen.
Tell them again, John. Tell them again.
You should have killed me when you had the chance. Oh my God, Jeff! Did we just see that?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't even know. Like, Mr. Macri, when I tell you,
yes,
that I've said it a bunch of times. I've said it on this platform. I've said it on my platform. I've said it on a bunch of platforms. The New York Knicks are the greatest anime in the history of basketball and professional sports. The twists, the turns, the plot lines, it's all gas, no brakes. The roller coaster we just got taken on, because I was out.
No.
That first half, they had one foot in the sand. And for them to turn it on its head the way they did, I have no more words for this team. It's like, bro, this is really like the toxic relationship. Are you going to let go or not? We got to let go, but the ride is just too crazy.
I compared them in a newsletter a couple weeks ago to, and I think it was after a loss. To that relationship. In my case, that girlfriend, or if,
read the newsletter, by the way, read the newsletter. Please subscribe. Get that.
I shout out to Substack, all the Substack crew. I compared it to that relationship that everybody has had a friend that's been in that relationship. Most of us have been in that relationship ourselves, where everybody looks at you and you can tell when they're looking at you, when you're sometimes when you're out with that person, oftentimes after you've had one of those nights with that person and you walk in with that look on your face and it's like everybody's thinking it. And sometimes nobody wants to say it, but everybody's thinking it like, man, what are you doing with your life? Sticking with this situation. What are you doing? Because they see the lows. But Jeff, why do we stay in those relationships? We stay because of the highs.
Some people would say we're stupid, but
some people would say we're stupid.
Some people would say you don't enjoy prosperity, which is what I said about this team.
Jeff, you said you had a foot in the sand in the first.
No, they had a foot in the sand.
Or they had.
I don't know how rich people book travel, but they were already in the concierge. It felt like that to me.
So, it was like that. And it was undeniable. And we're going to talk about all of it because this game had it all. But just from a personal perspective, and look, I'm coming at this where this has been a trying a couple of days, and I want to thank you, Jeff, and everybody else who has reached out. And I apologize If I haven't gotten back to a lot of people, I promise you I will. But so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like that did not contribute to my emotional state as I was watching this game. That being said, I was so I have to do this. I've quoted this show a lot in the past, and I have to do it again. I don't know if you're a Sex and the City fan, Jeff. It was a show that I watched.
I know. I'm very comfortable in in everything to tell you. I tapped into Sex.
There you go. Well, I'm not too proud to say I've watched every episode several times because it was a show that my mom and I watched together. Shout out to my mom. I know she's watching right now. And there's a scene. It's towards the end of the show. Of course, Carrie's something happened with Big, and she says, "What if at one point you run out of tears to cry for one man, for one relationship?" And I was at the point, Jeff, even in the second half, even in the fourth, even after they had cut it to 13 at the half, even after they had cut it to 10 points in the third quarter, Jeff. Even as Kat was putting on a display that will now have him in the annals of time forever as a Knick, regardless of what happens from here, because when you put forth a fourth quarter like that, that's a forever fourth quarter. But even as that was happening, Jeff, I did not allow myself to get on board. I did not allow myself to believe, because I said, I was out. I was out. I was totally out. I was ready. I was like, can we just get to the end? Please. Can we get to the end? As I'm about to sneeze. And when it finally turned for me, the Cat falling away, falling down, what do you want to call it? 3-pointer to make it 94-90,
which was an and one, by the way. The way they were calling fouls, it was an and one, by the way.
When that went down, it was not long after Jalen Brunson had been taken out of had to be taken out of the game, essentially. Although we'll talk about that decision with the fifth foul challenge they lost. Cat had missed 2 straight shots. Siakam was fouled. He put Indiana ahead. Then Cat got 2 free throws, put the Knicks back up ahead. But when that went in to put them up by 4, I was like, holy shit, they might actually do this. And I just at that point there was still a lot of time left. There was still almost 5 minutes remaining, if my notes indicate. And I was just waiting. I was just waiting for Indiana to take the lead back. And they never did. And the Knicks closed it out. And I as I'm sitting here right now, because I waited so long to get back in on this game, I still am not quite. I'm in disbelief. I can't believe that happened. I don't really know what to say. I don't know what to say about this game. I don't know what to say about that ending. I don't know what to say about this series. I don't know what to say about this team. This inexplicable, maddening, make you want to quit watching sports altogether, make you question your life choices team. I don't know what to say about them at this point, other than that, never, ever count them out. Because if you do, you'll be sorry. Ooh.
You just got a preview of the Knicks Film School newsletter coming out to your inbox, because y'all going to keep Macri on this for 4 hours. I already know. He's not getting off until 3 a.m. So probably by like 6, 7 a.m., it's going to hit.
It might be after 5 a.m. It might be an after 5 a.m. newsletter.
6, 7 a.m. Don't be assholes and talk about typos or anything like that. Actually, I'm a shill for you for a second, John.
No, please don't.
For how early he writes this newsletter after talking to y'all, reading every single super chat, talking to people like me, talking to Andrew and Kev and the whole community. Bro, 2 years, 3 years I've been subscribed. I could count I could count the number of typos. Like, I know you're bleary-eyed, you're bloodshot, you look like a noir
Jeff,
40s detective when you're typing. It was a cold, dark Sunday. The Knicks have just come back to make it a series. But this is the type of quality you get.
No one wants to hear this. Talk about the game.
If you indulge me for a second, indulge me for more. I'll stop shilling because I know you're blushing right now. I'll stop shilling. I'm not Stephen A. Jr., Johnny. I'm just from New York. We all have a similar accent. So let's relax. I want to give a shout out to the New York Liberty.
I love it.
Who set the tone in Indiana by locking up Caitlin Clark. Natasha Cloud put Caitlin Clark under two-factor authorization and won the game and set this off for New York to reclaim glory against Indiana. That's first off. Secondly, John, I'm in the same boat as you. Okay. If you ask anybody, like, I'm one of the most positive people. I detach my emotions from this team.
Jeff, how can you not?
It felt like if I can't want it more for you, then you want it for you. And that first half justified my detachment and I'm going to still root. I'm going to be in the game, but I couldn't put my emotional vulnerability on the line. They find a way to pull you back in. Just as you thought you were out, they continue to find a way to pull it back in. And I want to get into, and John, start saying your insights, because there was so much tactical to talk about in this game that's going to vindicate both sides of wherever you sit in the multiple debates with this team. This is why I say they're the greatest anime. I couldn't draw up how this game developed, where it both gave credence and put stuff in doubt at the same time on both sides of the argument. It's fascinating.
Jeff, this game was what was the thing that went around a few years ago? The dress picture? Is it a green dress or is it a blue dress or whatever? Right? Right? That's what this game was. Anything you wanted to take from this game, any interpretation that you wanted to have from this game, your opinions about the coach, your opinions about the Karl-Anthony Towns, your opinions about Josh Hart, your opinions about literally almost anybody on the route, your opinions about Mikal Bridges, you could find stuff in this game. Where I want to start, and where I believe the Indiana Pacers will start in their assessment of tonight. And I wish I had an answer for this, but I'm just going to read some things. After three quarters, Jeff, this team was down by 10 points, despite shooting 42.4% from the field, having only one additional field goal attempt than the Pacers, because usually when you're shooting that poorly and the team you're playing is shooting that well, and the Pacers were shooting well over 50% at that point, although they were not hitting threes, notably. You're only taking one additional field goal attempt. You were getting outscored in points off of turnovers, 18-6. You were getting outscored on fast break points, 16-0. And I've saved the best for last. Your three premium players, your top three offensive players, Mikal Bridges, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Jalen Brunson, were from the field a combined 12 of 38. I'm going to say that again. 12 of 38 from the field. JB, 4 of 14. Cat, 2 of 8. Mikal Bridges, 6 of 16. That they were only down by 10, given all of that, I want to sit here and say that is a testament to their mettle and their toughness and all the words that we throw around on these post-game shows. And it is. But I also love to be able to sit here and be like, yeah, but it was this thing or that thing. And I don't know what the thing was. I mean, I guess you could say the Pacers weren't really hitting threes, but they were shooting lights out from the field overall. So I don't even really want to go to that. We could talk about some individual players that kept them in it. And I guess that's a good transition. Look, this is the Cat game. It's always going to be the Cat game. It should be the Cat game. But two guys in different parts of the game that the Knicks we would not be sitting here having this sort of conversation right now. OG Anunoby and Deuce McBride. OG Anunoby, when absolutely no one on this roster could hit the far side of a barn, OG Anunoby kept them in this thing with his shot making. And you look up, you see his final stat line, 16 points, 6 of 9 shooting. Don't gloss over those 4 or 6 from 3, because that 4 or 6 from 3 gave them those were drips of water in the desert when you had gone, when you've been walking all day. That's what those were. And then Deuce McBride, again, you want to talk about the most deceiving, unassuming. You know what he went in this game? 9 points, 2 of 6 from the field, 1 steal, no rebounds, no assists. We're not having this conversation without Deuce McBride.
What he was able to do, despite the fact that he picked up 3 fouls
in a minute,
in a minute, just based off the switching and Miles Turner doing his best Mitchell Robinson impersonation, he bounced back in that second half in a real special way. And this is probably going to be one of them. If you look at it, 9 points in the second half, 2 of 6 from the field, plus 12, 1 of 4 from 3-point range. If you look at it, if you're just a spreadsheet watcher, you'd say, well, how was that impactful? He was able to hold the line defensively to get the Pacers out of sorts. Here's the other thing I'll say, John.
Yeah.
Now I'll throw it back to you. The Pacers lost this game in the second quarter.
I was going to get to it, but yeah, let's talk about it now.
They had a chance, and I've seen them hit these game breakers. They were doing that to the Cavs for the whole series. Once they started hitting the game breakers, and for what it's worth, they were leaving the door open for the Knicks in that quarter as well. And the Knicks couldn't capitalize because they were equally mid, and they start going on their runs. They start turning the ball over. Hallie goes on his front running escapade. You know, when he got the lead, he's one of the most dangerous men in the NBA because it's like all of his attributes increase. He's throwing the alley to Obi. They were up by 20. It was 55, 35.
Can we go through it right now real quickly? I have it right here.
Please.
So 55-35, Knicks timeout. Going downhill. Mitchell Robinson actually with the assist there. How you doing, Mitch? To cut it to 18. Nesmith gets fouled, misses a free throw. You know, every point counts, so it's back up to 19. Then we had a Mitchell Robinson offensive foul he was trying to set a screen, and I was like, oh my God, he caught whatever Cat has had his entire career. And then the Knicks actually had a pretty good defensive possession, and they commented on it on the broadcast because it resulted in Tony Bradley taking a corner 3. And I think it was Stan Van Gundy at that point who noted that's the guy you want to leave open, which is not something that we have said about the Knicks often enough. So he misses that. Brunson comes down, misses we're going to talk about Jalen Brunson, who, listen, hit the free throws when it counted, hit a big shot when it counted. But up until the last 2, it might still be the worst playoff game Jalen Brunson has had as a Knick. So he misses a 14-footer. Who comes in and gets the offensive rebound? Josh Hart. Kicks out to OG Anunoby, who drains a 3-pointer, makes it 56-40. So down to 16, there's like, okay, maybe. Down the other way, Brunson fouls Nembhard. Again, not a good Brunson game, to say the least. Nembhard is both. Hart ends up very late in the clock, making a little short shot. Again, cut it to 16. And then here's what you were talking about. Tyrese Halliburton, bad pass. Mitchell Robinson steals it. And then, okay, this was that crazy back and forth sequence that resulted in ultimately a Nesmith missed 3. Comes back down the other end, and again, there's a 6-point lead at this point, and then with 5.1 seconds remaining in the second quarter, Mikal Bridges hits. It felt like the only shot he had hit the entire freaking half, but he hits a 3 to cut it to 13. And that was all the moment. That was just enough momentum for them. That was it.
it set the tone. It shifted the conversation from, I think these dudes are defeated.
Yeah.
As somebody who has talked to athletes about the term quitting, I'm very like careful about saying that because I know that's like a line. But when I said if they looked like they had one foot in Cancun, it wasn't because of quitting. It was more so they just looked like they were defeated, like they didn't want to be there. Nothing was working. You had a bunch of combinations that had never saw the light of day. They looked like they just met each other for the first time in the NBA season. But they shifted that conversation from a lot of Knicks fans and pundits and people watching, neutral viewers saying, oh, Pacers about to run them out the gym, to, hey, the Knicks are hanging around. It's 13. You know what the rule is. Third quarter, keep it close. Get it down to single digits. They almost did that. There was a swing in the third quarter where they were down 8 and Deuce turned the ball over. And then it turned into, in essence, a 4 to 5 point swing.
It was at the last, it was the penultimate play. It was actually, no, sorry. What it was, so it was the Knicks' second to last possession of the third quarter. When Deuce, and again, this is why you mentioned Deuce before. To be very clear, the Knicks went on a 7-0 run to cut it from 78 to 63. It was a 15-point lead. The Pacers had got it back up to 15. They were feeling great. Deuce McBride, personal 7-0 run, cut it to 78-70. Then he turned the ball over, went the other way. Siakam, two free throws. And then I think it was actually McBride had a shot to get it down to 7 last play of the third quarter, missed it, but it was a 10-point game at that point to go into the fourth.
And you know, I wasn't going to get on Deuce for that last one, but in a game where every possession counts, every point counts, I didn't want to look back and say, damn, they could have had the lead down to 6. But still, we get to the fourth quarter. It is 10 points. And you made the reference to this should have gone with the head. The portals opened up behind the Knicks when they needed to hold the fort down and mount a comeback. And DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet step out of this portal to give what's probably the most consequential minutes they have played in, at least DeLon Wright for sure in his career, and Shamet give or take a playoff run. Well, I know I don't want to be too hyperbolic.
I would want to go back and look at that, but yeah, maybe
it's in their upper echelon.
It's in the upper. Shamet, he's never made a conference finals before.
Oh, right, that's right. We broke the Shamet curse beating Boston. So now these are guys who did not expect to get minutes other than in blowouts and to clean up and get into PJ Tucker time. What these guys did in this game and what they showed was needed at the right time. And John, hey, the minutes police, they got the prosecutors behind them. They got a case. We might have to plea bargain with them. We might have to plea bargain because the minutes police got a case. You might want to knock this down to a misdemeanor, get a ticket, get some points off of your license, because boy, there was a lot of statements made with the rotations and everybody who played. I'm just happy they showed up when they did.
Jeff, we may need, I don't know if Andrew's somewhere in the background. He GMAC, shout out to GMAC.
I'm here, what's up?
If you are able to reach out to our friends at Fanatics Sportsbook and ask them, maybe off the record even, what line would they have set for Landry Shamet leading the Knicks in Game 3 with a plus 12, that was the highest plus minus of anyone in this basketball game, other than actually, who was a plus 19 for the Pacers?
Wait, guess, Andrew.
I already know.
Shout out to Obi Toppin. But Landry,
I just heard from them, by the way. They just reached out to me over at Fanatics. The odds for Landry Shamet to be your high high plus minus leader for the Knicks. Since we're keeping with the Avengers reference, they went to Doctor Strange and just put up a number 1 finger, and that's the odds. That's
just
what they were.
Give him the gem, bro. Just give him the gem.
Was it 14 million, whatever it is?
Right.
That's it. No, but look, so all the credit in the world to Landry Shamet for being ready. And it's funny, I want to go back to one more thing before we talk about Cat's fourth quarter.
Yes, sir.
When it was, they were terrible in the second quarter. They got down big. The Knicks made the initial comeback. Third quarter starts. It's really not much better. Like, there was a stretch there where there was one of the most. Jalen Brunson. I'm happy we got this game out of Jalen Brunson's system, and I hope nothing is actually like wrong with him, because that was. It wasn't just that it was a bad game. It was the most uncharacteristic bad game that we've ever seen him play. There was a brutal Jalen Brunson turnover. Mikal Bridges, how many times I wrote, Mikal Bridges misses open shot. A bad Mikal Bridges pass. And they were down 68-52. It really felt another awful Brunson turnover. Just a terrible offensive possession. Tibbs puts in about 4 minutes, 30 seconds left in the third. Puts in Josh Hart for Karl-Anthony Towns and Deuce McBride for OG Anunoby. And I said at that moment, thank God they got Cat out of the game. And this is going to be a Cat post game. This was going to be a Cat post game either way, because this was going to be all about, this game was shaping up to be a referendum on a lot of things. It was shaping up to be a referendum on the coach. It was shaping up to be a referendum on the Mikal Bridges trade. More than anything for me, this game, this playoffs, or this game, this series, and this postseason was shaping up to be a referendum on the Cat trade. And when they got him out and they put Hart in and Deuce in for OG, I'm like, they needed to do that. They had to do that. And then shortly thereafter, Landry Shamet came in for Mikal Bridges, who, again, not having his best game either, drew an offensive foul. Subtle little thing. And we had this lineup with Deuce, Wright, Shamet, Hart, and Mitch. And that was the lineup that started the comeback. And it got us to the beginning of the fourth quarter, down 10. And then we could talk about what happened from there.
Yeah, sometimes, you know what it is? Sometimes you just need a paradigm shift. These guys that will come in and shift the energy, shift the momentum. Hey, man, I wasn't supposed to be. I damn near almost didn't make this team because of a shoulder injury. And now they're calling my number. I'm not trying to come out of this game, and I don't want to be the one to lose. Guys like Wright, guys like Shamet, even guys like Deuce, guys like Hart, who had something to prove after getting demoted to the bench off the starting lineup, right? Like these are guys who are professionals, and they went out there and they did what they had to do. They fought on defense. They cut off a lot of water to the Pacers in that fourth quarter. And what was important about it was you had guys who could stretch the floor and play defense. At one point, they did not have a weakness on the defensive end on the fourth quarter. They locked them up. And
they had Cat out there.
When Cat sat, the period that you're talking about, they didn't have when they sat him for that small period, they didn't have a weakness. Period, yes, when Cat came back, and we're going to get to that, because I don't know what type of limitless pill Cat took in the fourth, but it seemed like the IQ went up 1,000%. He got all the attributes out the way, and he just played the fourth quarter of his life. But what I would say is about Shamet and Wright and all these guys that came off the bench, they were able to stretch the floor. They were able to do their job and not make mistakes. And if you're familiar with judo, are you familiar with judo?
I wish I was more familiar. Why don't you inform me, though?
So one of the principles of judo is to use your opponent's force against them in order to defeat them.
Yeah.
I think that's what the Knicks did, using the fact that the Pacers play 1,000 guys against them by playing their own bench, guys who are hungry, guys who can D up. Because one of the advantages to the Pacers playing 11 guys is that 90% of those guys can get you some type of bucket within the framework of their offense. They're not net negatives on offense. They can hit layups, they can hit threes, they can hit jumpers. TJ McConnell is the greatest backup point guard in the history of our sport. This is just what happens, right? Awesome. But when you got a defensive lineup of bench players who can hold their own and can do the same on the offensive end, now you're forcing Carlisle to pull his hand and bring his guys back in. And that's when the depth becomes a negative for them. And I thought that was something that was important. This is what some people were shouting from the rooftops, that you got guys, play your guys. And I think this game gave a lot of credence to that.
Look, we've I've gotten a half an hour and I haven't done the most important thing that I should have done. There were a couple of people after game 2 on the post game who brought up, why not try Landry Shamet? Why not try Delon Wright? And I laughed at them. Who's laughing now? It ain't me. And whoever those people were, I'm trying to remember. I don't want to say the wrong name. I think I remember who it was. It was a couple people. Whoever those people were. Chats, I owe you guys absolutely the biggest apology possible, because I will wear that. And look, there was a time in the first, it was a moment in the first half where Tibbs put out the lineup with Wright and Shamet, and immediately everybody was like, "Oh, Tibbs has finally lost his mind." And like, it didn't go great. But here's the thing: it didn't go great, but it also didn't go terribly. And that stretch, there were good looks. Like with that stretch of game, like they got some good looks, and Cat was, for as great as he was in the fourth quarter, he was atrocious during that stretch. The issues were on defense. That's the problem. When that group came in, the issues were on defense, and a lot of it had to do with Towns. He switched when he didn't need to switch, made it 34-30. He picked up a really silly foul. He was in too deep a drop on TJ McConnell. That made it 36-30. He missed a 3 and then goes for a no chance offensive rebounds. Didn't get back in transition. It was 38-30. And then, by the way, shortly thereafter, who hits a 3 when it had gotten up to a 10-point lead? Landry Shamet. So, look, the lineup didn't look great in the first half, but like I was like, you know what? My issue right now is with how Cat's playing when that lineup was out there. That being said, so, and then you move forward and you give it this second opportunity. And you mentioned it before, the defense, and like, is defense like COVID, where if you stand close enough to someone and you breathe in their face, you could actually catch it? I feel like that maybe we have to look into that. Do we have any medical professionals or scientists who are watching now that can maybe give their insight? Maybe we could do a collaboration between, like an ER doctor and like a basketball coach, because when the starting lineup, who has not been able to defend you or me, well, definitely not you, me, maybe, because I just suck. When they came back in, and they actually started playing some defense. And then the possession I want to shout out, and yes, Cat came out at some point in this game, and they played some good defense, obviously, when Cat was out. The play that I want to shout out is one where it wasn't Cat out of the game. It was Jalen Brunson out of the game because he had picked up his 5th foul. It came with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, where I just wrote my note. It says, OMG defense, best of season. It is the only thing that I highlighted for all of my notes. I usually highlight the stuff that I want to go back and reference. It's the only thing I highlighted. Mm-hmm. It was the possession that featured OG Anunoby sending Neesmith's shot into the third row. And then they finished it off with forcing a Miles Turner desperation heave that didn't even hit rim. That was the best defensive possession they played all season. And it was with Karl-Anthony Towns on the floor. And you shouted out the newsletter before. I'm going to give myself one small pat on the back. Earlier in this series, I think probably after game 1 I think it was after game 1, I wrote, yeah, the starting lineup sucks. We know the starting lineup sucks. They can't play together. It's terrible. But I think in this series in particular, it's a Brunson and Cat issue. When you have both of those two guys on the floor together, and you give them these 2 targets, That's the problem. If you take one of those targets off the floor, again, it might not be great. We still might get a stretch like we got from Towns in the beginning of the second quarter. We got some stretches from Towns in game 2 where Jalen Brunson was off the floor and he was atrocious on defense. Like, same thing. We could say the same thing about Brunson. Brunson was atrocious on defense in this game. Had nothing to do with Towns. But at least when only one of them is out there, you give yourself more of a shot and you can get possessions like that. Game-changing defensive possessions. And the thing that I'm going to give a lot of credit to Tibbs for, and then to throw it back to you, I give Tibbs a lot of credit for holding Brunson out of the game for as long as he did and going with the lineup that he knew only had one target for the Pacers to go at. And that one target was Karl-Anthony Towns. And for as much as we will talk about his scoring in this fourth quarter, I know I keep saying we're going to talk about it. It's 36 minutes and we haven't really talked about it yet. For as much as we will talk about it, some of his defensive possessions, we have been waiting almost 100 games, 7 months for Karl-Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges to navigate the pick and roll defense like they did. And then all of a sudden, like a gift from the gods, it descended from the heavens and there it was. That's what we've been waiting for all year. Look like two guys that have a fucking plan of attack. Mm-hmm. And they did it against as difficult an opponent as you could find. And they did it at the moment that it counted the most. That's what I'm going to remember the most, more than goal of Cat's points from this game when I go back and look at it and think about it.
So Tibbs is a fascinating guy.
You might say that.
His tragic flaw, which is also one of his greatest attributes, is the overcorrection. Game 1, what he did tonight, he should have did in game 1. When they were on that 14-0 run and they had the Pacers in double digits and that lineup with Mitch and Deuce was playing phenomenal defense and all they had to do was shut the water off on defensive end and score just enough points. Hold the door, right. Just score just enough points to keep them within arm's length. He should have did that in game 1. Didn't do it. What happened in game 2? You play Mitch 16 minutes in the first half because I ain't going to make that same mistake twice. And I'm going to keep my guys in and run them however I got to run them because I don't want to make that same mistake twice. Where ironically, the game told him he probably shouldn't do that. And he did it anyway because he makes the overcorrection. Yep. So now we're in game 3.
I love this point, by the way.
He takes thank you, brother. He takes what he learned in game 1, what he learned in game 2, and distills it into the perfect scenario-based situation, which is, we are not going to get back in this game with offense. We got to stop them from scoring because if they don't stop scoring or we don't stymie it up a bit, this is going to be a track meet. They're going to hit some BS threes and we're going to be down 0-3. Serendipity in disguise. I don't know what a foul is anymore, Macri. Oh. I will say that, yes, Brunson embellished, but they treated them hard like he was SGA and gave him that blocking call. I don't know what's a foul. I don't know.
The refs were not on our side in this game, Jeff.
Bro, oh my God. I know you're going to talk about Cat. When you get to Cat, I'm going to get to that travel, but...
Oh my God.
Bro, they wouldn't even been able
to challenge it.
That foul on Brunson that they challenged and it was unsuccessful is one of the reasons why he got to the bench. Why I say the tragic flaw with Tibbs. There comes a point where you got to win the game. Egos aside, you got to win the game. I've been getting on Brunson in this playoff run for taking stuff personal, going one-on-one, trying to prove points to the refs, to himself, to the other players that you can't guard me. And this has been a detriment to the team. He got the costly turnovers. You go on one-on-one, you stagnating the offense. He played a boneheaded game on the defensive end and put himself into foul trouble. But he stepped up when it mattered most, and that is in the leadership category because he sat his ass on the bench while the Knicks were making the comeback and was supportive and held it down. And I'll pass it back to you, Macri, when I say this. What if one of the best ways to utilize Jalen Brunson is really like Mariano Rivera? Woo. You go to the fourth quarter, You put out your defensive lineup, you shut the water, and you stretch a lead or gain a lead for as long as you possibly can, because Brunson only played 2 minutes and 46 seconds of this fourth quarter, and that was the most impactful minutes he played in the whole game. My mind has been open to a realm of possibilities just by Tibbs expanding the realm of his possibilities. Maybe they found something. Well, I just hope they know what they found and they use it to the nth degree.
When your back's against the wall, oftentimes your true self comes out, and that'll be a good transition to Towns. Actually, I keep saying this. I promise this is the last thing before we actually talk about Towns, and then we'll get to Super Chats. When Cat went out, towards the end of the second, and it was the original starting lineup with Mitch in Cat's place. It was when Cat got his third foul. Mm-hmm. And I was excited. I said this during my halftime Zoom. I said, I got excited. I'm said because I was convinced the starting lineup change that Tibbs really wanted to make. I have no, to be very clear, it's not like I heard that. I have no, like, this is just me assuming. Yep. Yeah, this is just me bullshitting, talking out of my ass. I bet the starting lineup change Tibbs wanted to make was Mitch for Cat. Not Mitch for Hart, Mitch for Cat. And so when Cat went to the bench with his third foul, Mitch comes in, and so it's Mitch with Hart, Brunson, McCall, OG. And I was like, you know what? I bet you they get back into the game. They're down 7. I could see them making a run here. What happens? 13-0 Indiana run, down fucking 20 points. 1, shows what I know. And 2, it shows you how off, it shows you how off Brunson was in this game. There were a lot of questionable decisions in that game. It was absolutely brutal, and that was the moment that I thought that the season was over. Now, to Cat. He's the most maddening player any of us have ever watched, and that is with all due respect to Julius Randle.
He took the crowd.
And I do want to, and look, there were a lot of people on the post game in game 2 who said, if the coaches were reversed, it would be 2-0 Knicks. I thought that was a little aggressive. I thought the level of play on the court had a lot to do with that. But whatever, it was said. The fact that Rick Carlisle continued to put a big man on Karl-Anthony Towns and leave a big man on Karl-Anthony Towns for the majority of that run as he was going off in the fourth quarter, and then they were screening, and sometimes he would, maybe there would be a non-center on him, and not playing liberally off of Josh Hart, because let's point out Josh Hart was in the game and DeLon Wright was also in the game. And those Pacer defenders treated those guys like real threats. And Karl-Anthony Towns was allowed to get his dribble game going. He was obviously, the 3-ball was working. And it's not like we haven't seen teams employ defenses that neutralize Cat before. And then they kind of started to do it late. They converged on a couple that the 2 straight Cat misses. One was on that was on a decent look. There was a Cat miss. When did it come? He drove and they converged on him, and it he didn't make the pass, but that was too little too late. They allowed him to cook, and he deserves all the credit in the world for cooking, but I feel like they kind of got an assist there. I'll just say that.
Here's an observation from me. I think the Pacers don't know how to play defense other than the way they play defense. They have one gear. We locking everybody up.
Yeah.
We're going to play one-on-one. I don't care if you shoot 1 3 or 1,000. You're not getting threes. We take away the 3-point shot. This is our plan. And it's, once again, the most maddening game I think I've seen for both teams as a Knicks fan, where our team was doing maddening things and the Pacers as well. For all of the praise that Rick Carlisle receives about his innovation, his willingness to play multiple players, the confidence that he instills, the complex offensive sets, how do you not see that Cat has been ineffective with a smaller guard and not try to employ
or a wing, a big wing, or a big wing with some size.
Yes, yeah. A big wing. At least somebody 6'7" or better. You got to go, and you got some heft to you. You got to guard Cat. How do you not employ what has been proven league-wide as an effective strategy? Why don't you do it? Why do you keep why do you employ this level of rigidity for your defense when you see Cat going out?
Hold on. Wait, you just asked, why do you employ this level of rigidity? What coach you talking about again?
I'm talking about Rick Carlisle, which is nuts.
Just checking.
I'm just saying. It's just nuts, checking. Right? But this guy, I've still, like, Cat is going nuclear. And the only thing that I could think of is if he's just like, man, we're going to outscore these guys, whatever. Let Cat go off. I got faith that our offense is going to break them. We'll just get it back on the other end. But what he didn't account for was that, one, Cat was going to play competent defense down the stretch. And two, that Tibbs was actually going to play the guys he didn't want him to play. Because I thought Rick Carlisle was Precious Achua's agent. The way he was advocating for Tibbs. Oh, you know that Precious Achua.
Oh, my God.
They got that Precious Achua. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell he was baiting Tibbs to try to play Precious. And it says a lot that all these other guys are getting in instead of Precious. Yeah, man, Cat was phenomenal. You saw the whole range of motion. You saw what he's capable of. This is the ceiling. And this is why he's maddening, because fans see it, league watchers see it, and it's not consistent. And at some point, you have to transcend the level of defense that you're being guarded by to be that great, to be the next level of superstar. You also got to get put in the best position to win, but sometimes you just got to go get a bucket. And today, I guess, is the day he finally became president.
Well, let's talk about the buckets that he got starting. I want to go through the fourth quarter.
Yes, sir. Run it.
So, Deuce McBride starts the fourth going for a layup. He misses. Josh Hart, interesting game for Josh Hart. And we're going to talk about a particular play from Josh Hart a little bit later. His stat line wasn't anything to write home about. 34 minutes. He made one shot. Did end up with 10 rebounds, including 3 on the offensive glass and 7 defensive rebounds, including one big one late. Again, we'll get back to that. Josh Hart gets the offensive rebound, kicks out to Karl-Anthony Towns, makes the 3, gets it to 80-73. Hart, not an ideal shooting foul on Miles Turner. He didn't love the call. Turner makes both. Down the other end, Karl Towns is able to drive. He had a beautiful spin on Miles Turner. He ended up getting. Wait, no, sorry. Sorry. Beautiful spin on Miles Turner, and he made the layup. So again, now we're 82-75. McConnell has a decent look from a midi, misses it. Cat gets the rebound, and then maybe the best pass of the game hits a cutting DeLon Wright, who cuts right under the basket, and the Pacers fell asleep, and that made it 82-77. We go down the other way. 82-77. Pacers timeout. Josh Hart, again, that aggressive defense. This is the Cat, Hart, Deuce, Wright, Shamet lineup. That lineup defended like their pants were on fire. So Hart gets the steal, comes back down the other way, gets it to Cat for the driving layup. Cat misses the free throw. McBride gets in there for the offensive rebounder. He ties him up. makes gets the ball back, wins the jump ball with Ben Shepherd, and missed a great look from three that would have tied the game. I was convinced when he missed that three. I'm like, we missed our chance. The Pacers are going to go on a big run, and this is all going to be a footnote in history. Now, Siakam made a 2-point shot, put the lead back up to 5, and then here's what happened next. Cat post up on Siakam. Siakam fouled him. Cat made both free throws. We go down the other end. Andrew Nembhard, 1 of 2 from the line, and then Cat comes down, makes a 3-pointer, 85-84. Knicks down by 1. Turner misses a 3. Come back down. Cat with a beautiful cut for a dunk and an and one, and the Knicks take a 2-point lead. And then I'm going to go through just a couple more. Then Halliburton makes that 3. What was going through your mind when Halliburton hit that 3?
I was like, man, the front runner force is strong. You can't, once the front runner force starts charging up in Hallie, you know what I said? When he hit the 3, I just put my seatbelt on, man. I said, I'm here now. I'm not going to leave. The one thought that was going through my mind, do to them what they did to you. Take a game that you were not supposed to win. Come back from 20 points down for the 3rd time in the playoffs. For the 3rd time on the road. Do it to them. Because they violated MSG. And now, how the turntables.
So, yes, I'm glad that was your mentality. After he hit that 3, I'm like, oh my God, here we go again. But after the whole Brunson 5th foul, Michigas, Cat had he was fouled, hit both free throws, had that crazy 3 falling away, gave him a 4-point lead. Couple other shout outs, and then we're going to get to super chats. The Deuce dunk attempt that resulted in 2 free throws. Was it a foul? I mean,
if it was, if they challenged it, it would have got overturned because everything they challenge gets overturned.
This is true.
Everything.
Deuce missed a wide open 3 after Mikal Bridges missed at the rim. And I think it was Hart who got, pretty sure it was Hart who got that. Yes, it was Josh Hart who got that offensive rebound to give McBride. Great look from the corner. He just missed it. Siakam ties the game. Then Brunson comes back in, makes the floater, puts him up by 2. And then it ends up being a free throw battle down the stretch. Josh Hart 2 for 2, Jalen Brunson 2 for 2, and then to close it out, officially close it out, Josh Hart 2 for 2 from the line. And I said I was going to shout out the rebound. The rebound came from Josh Hart when it was 102-98. After
was it Turner that shot that YOLO 3 that tried to?
It was the Turner 3. I want to go back and rewatch the possession. It felt like it was a makeable look. It was a makeable look, but oh my God, you know what's funny? I'm just looking at it. No, is that rebound? Yeah,
I feel like that rebound. They were up 3.
You want to laugh? They didn't even I'm looking at the official the play-by-play right now. They didn't even give Josh Hart credit for the rebound. I'm looking at it. 19.1 seconds left. Knicks defensive team rebound. Oh,
if y'all bet money, y'all better get in the NBA's ass right now and go get your rebound. Go get your rebound.
A team rebound. That was a rebound of 1. What was the old Army slogan? An army of 1? That was a rebound of 1. That was Josh Hart's rebound, man. Do not take it away from him. It was the most as important rebound as he's ever had in his career. Man, I'm like, we haven't really talked big picture. I'll talk big. I'll get to the big picture.
You got it
throughout the super chats. Jeff, last thoughts before we get to our Fanatics stuff.
The new starting lineup was a +1. The old starting lineup closed the game on a +9.
Can't.
Dude, you can't. I don't know anymore.
You can't write the shit. You can't write it.
This is a pride win, John. This was a win to.
By the way, hold on. In 3 minutes and 36 seconds.
3 minutes and 36 seconds. That fourth quarter, the OG lineup The OG lineup was the best lineup in the fourth quarter.
God.
9 points. Maybe this should have been the closing lineup and not the starting lineup all along. I'm just saying, I think they found that. You know what this is like, John?
What?
This is like we're in moot court. And
I did moot court for a long time.
Right. You're in like moot court. This is debate class where we're like, yo, we're going to give you a debate. You have one side, you have the other side. And when you look at the debate, each side has something worth arguing. This whole talk about the starting lineup, about the change and all of that, I feel like whether you're on one side or the other side, you're right about something. But I do think when we look bigger picture, it does give credence to trying out lineups and testing them in the regular season. He's lucky he's dealing with a bunch of pros, Tibbs is, because they came in and handled their business. That first half, they looked like I got on the team and didn't learn the playbook, and I didn't ever play with these guys before, but they showed improve. I think there are a lot of great takeaways, especially when we talk about roster depth, lineup configuration, battling what the Pacers do. They have what it takes to win this series. We've known it. And this is why it's pissed us off so much. This is why there's been genuine apathy across the fan base. Because if you're just going to put us through this to sell out to a team who at worst you should be even with, then why are we doing this? And we do it because we're real fans. We can't get away. And every time they pull us away, we are back. The Knicks have made this a series. Job's not finished. Learn to operate within prosperity. Blow them the fuck out in game 4 and reclaim your home crowd. Reclaim MSG. I said before this game, win game 3, then win the next 3. This is the assignment.
I'll sign for a 1-point win in game 4. At this point, I'm happy to get another game at MSG. How about that? What was I going to say? Brunson and Towns actually had a very good defensive rating together in this game. They only gave up about 100 points per 100 possessions, which is excellent. Only played about 18 minutes together in this game after playing, I think, 17 minutes and change together in game 2. That's much lower than their usual numbers. Again, I'll say it again. I think that's the bigger issue. Those two guys on the floor together. They survived together tonight, so that was good. I would stick with the new starting lineup at this point. I think they got great looks to start the game, and there were some buttholes that were puckered up to the size of the little hole in this right here pen that I'm holding up, and maybe that's even too big.
A lot of lemon booty.
Yeah, and it was everybody. It was everybody. No one was immune. Even OG early on had a bunny that he missed. So I would probably stick with the starting 5. But at the end of the day, and I'll repeat what I said after game 2, and I got a text from someone whose opinion I very much respect. I won't say who it is. Afterwards, who was like, I agree with you on that thing. When I said it's not an X's and O's issue with the starting 5. It's never been an X's and O's issue with the starting 5. It's a something else issue.
Chemistry.
Did they get past that tonight? I don't know. We'll see and we'll find out. Look,
they got to find their why, John. They each individually have to find their why and hold on to it. Because if they do find their why, then they can win as a collective. That's what it is going to be at this point. They have to find their why and play for that why.
And I don't think that's something you could, like, yes, that is something you do as a team, but everybody needs to find their own why. And do you need to have the exact same why as the guy next to you? No. But your why does need to be selfless to some extent. And I just look, here's what I'll say. They didn't play well tonight. Could we sit here and be like they should be up 2-1 because they blew game one? Well, I'm sure the Pacers feel like they should be up 3-0, So we can't very well sit here and be like we should be up 2-1. But the fact that they won this game and didn't play well, and I look, I'm sure. Shout out to Caitlin Cooper, who does obviously great work for Basketball She Wrote. I'm sure she's going to pick this apart like nobody's business. And there's going to be a lot of misgivings about how the Pacers went about their business in the second half of this game as they scored 42 points. 42 points after halftime. But I did not feel like the Pacers necessarily served this game up to the Knicks on a silver platter. I think the Knicks had to do a goodly number of affirmative things on both ends of the floor to take this game on a night when, again, even after that crazy cat performance, it is not like we are talking about a crazy shooting night for the Knicks. 34% from three, 43.6% overall. And Jalen Brunson goes 6 for 18. Excuse me. Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges both go 6 for 18 from the field.
Villanova. You got to be in sync.
Yeah, you got to be in sync. Okay. I believe GMAC is waiting in the wings and is ready to hop up here. Hello, Andrew.
So, the annoying part, fellas?
What's
very
up?
Annoying part about this basketball team is the most maddening basketball team I've ever rooted for. Let me start here.
The Knicks are the annoying part.
Yes, the Knicks are the annoying part. Just this specific basketball team. Let me start here with the annoying part for this post game. I try to find a theme about the other team or the other city. Like you saw me lean heavy on 8 Mile in the first round, and there's 1,000 Boston movies. So just pick your Irish dancing song, and that was going to be the theme that I played to come up here because nobody gives a fuck about Indiana. There is no music to play coming up here. It's literally just the Parks and Rec. It's Rudy. It's the Parks and Rec theme, and I got to go hours away. It's the theme from Hoosiers, one of the most overrated movies of all time. What's the theme?
It's drunk Dennis Hopper coached the last half of this basketball game.
There you go. But there's no music to play, is what I'm saying. I got nothing to come up here and
music. There's probably music.
I don't remember. It's the most overrated movie of all time.
I watched it once, and I'm like, I'm good.
I think we had more. And we had more fun and excitement watching
The
Brutalist than anytime I've ever watched Hoosiers. Okay. Regardless, the analogy I thought about, Jeff and John, remember earlier in the year, John, you said that going from last year's very stable, very dependable Knicks team to this year's team was like being in a very dependable relationship that unfortunately had to end for unforeseen reasons. And now we're dating the hot girl. And some point in January, we found out she's crazy. And there were moments where she was stealing your stuff, but then she made you dinner. And then you found your toothbrush in the oven and you're like, why is it there? And it's that's where I keep it. Hold on, let me get the whole analogy out. And then it's suddenly she doesn't like your parents. And then she's buying your parents flowers and then she's deleting numbers from your phone. It's why do you have my pass keys? I just needed your thumbprint. And in the past week, it's gone from I killed your dog to I bought you a ticket to Hawaii. All of the above and the extremes of this relationship that we're in with this basketball team. And I cannot quit them. I was sitting there looking at Mets tickets for next week. And then suddenly here we are and I'm back in. It's the opposite of Godfather 3. Just when for most of the season, it's the opposite of Godfather 3. Just when I think I'm in, they pull me back out. Tonight, it's actually the analogy. Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Go ahead, Jeff.
I'm just going to give a shout out.
Yes.
To my combo washer dryer, wherever it may be. And there's at least one person watching. Hi, Mom, who gets that joke. There might be a second or a third. And that's it. But we've all dated the hot girl at some point. And,
okay. Gotcha. Okay.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
There's clearly a very real, relatable experience